Hi, my name is Lawrence De Camora of Learning While Practicing. In the previous section, you've successfully downloaded your Java Development Kit or your JDK, and have successfully installed it and configured it on your own machine. In this section, we will try to write our first Java program called helloworld.java, and then we will save it, compile it, and test our Java program. Now, in some cases, we tend to encounter compilation errors or sometimes runtime errors. And then we will try to debug our program so that we can get rid of all these bugs, all of these errors. And then on the latter part of this section, we will discuss what classes are, the main method, how to print an output using system.out.println method, the plus operator, the next line character or the \n, and the tab character or the \t. Okay? So let's start writing our first Java code. What we need is a text editor. So let's try to type public class and then our file name or our class name called hello world. All right, and then we'll have a begin end curly brace. This is our class. Okay. Now, the next thing that we need to type is our main method. Our main method should be written as public static void main string args. Okay, so what we have is our class, our main method, and next we will type in an output. To display an output in Java, we need to use the method system.out.println. And then we'll provide a pair of double quotes. And then inside the double quotes, whatever you type, that will be the actual output. So if we type hello world right here, you're done. All right? You're done coding. So the next step is for us to save our program. In order for us to save our program, it's better to create a folder that will store all the codes that we will create in the entire course. So in my example, I have a terminal window right here. I will create a folder first. In order for me to do that, I'll type mkdir and then I'll type Java codes. Press enter. Now, you'll see in my Finder window that a new folder has been created. Let's try to go inside that folder. So I'll type in cd Java codes, enter. So this is the folder where I'm currently in. Now, let's go back to our text editor. Let's try to save our program. So new and then save as. Be sure to put it inside our folder. Let's put it inside Java codes. And whatever is the name of our public class should have the same file name that ends with a .java extension. So since our class name is hello world.java, all right, so that should be our file name. Okay, next we will press enter. And to check if it has been saved, you can check it here in our Finder window, or you can type ls in your terminal window to see the Java source code. So you have successfully saved your file. The next step is for us to compile it. Now, to compile your Java code, there's a command called javac. Javac means Java compile. And then we need to specify the file name that you're trying to compile. In this case, it's hello world.java. Press enter, and there you go. So a successful compilation just happened. And in order for you to verify that, you can type ls to see if a .class file has been created. So there you go, there's the .class file. So we have saved our code, we have compiled our code, and next, we will now run our code. Remember the previous command that we've typed? javac hello world.java. Javac means compile. This time, we will run our code by typing java and then just the name of the file, hello world, without the dot. All right, so if we press enter, there you go. There's your running Java program. Congratulations! You have successfully created and executed your first Java program. Hello, my name is Lawrence de Camora of Learning While Practicing. In our previous video, we've already created our first Java program, our hello world.java. We were able to create our code, save it, compile it, and run it. Now, for this section of the video, we will talk about commonly encountered errors in a Java program, like misspelled name of the file versus the misspelled public class name, and also some errors like misspelled keywords and method names, and incorrect location of your file or of your present working directory. So far, this is what we have. We have a public class hello world, our main method, and our println method. Now, one of the fundamental rules in learning on how to code in Java is by getting the public class name and the file name correctly. Now, let us remember that everything in Java is case sensitive, including the file name. So, the first rule here is, whatever is the name of your public class, it must have the same file name. So, in our uh, terminal window, you'll see that we have a file called hello world.java. That corresponds to this sample code right here. If in case we type this in all caps, let's say hello world, so we have public class hello world written in all caps, and then I save this, the file name is still hello world.java. So if we compile this javac hello world.java and I press an enter key, you'll see that there's an error. Written in line 1, the class hello world, which is this one, is public. And the suggestion is it should be declared in a file named public class hello world. Okay, so there's the error. So again, the first rule here is whatever is the name of your public class, it must have the same file name that ends with a .java extension. So let me put this back to hello world. Now, if let's say it is misspelled or probably it has a space in between, so you will get the same error once you've compiled it. Okay, so same error. Now, in debugging a compilation error, there are several things that you need to look at. First, the file name. This is where the actual error came from, hello world.java, and then you see the number here. Okay, the number here means line 1, and then followed by the type of error. So after in line 1, you should see that there should be a opening curly brace. And if you really don't know how to read a Java error just yet, you could simply see the suggestion. There's a caret symbol here, pointing that the error can be found somewhere here. So that's how we look at an error. No? In this example, it's a compilation error. So let's fix this one. So let's save this again, compile this again, and there you go. Next, there are examples of what we call runtime errors. Runtime errors are by definition happens during runtime. So it means after you have saved your work, you can compile it and then you will eventually have a good compilation. But when you run it, that's where the error pops out. So let's take a look at this example. Let me remove the word static right here. All right. Now, if I save this and I compile this, you will see a good compile. But when you start running your code, Java, and then the name of the class, hello world, when you press enter, there you go. This is an example of a runtime error. So what you've seen so far are two types of errors. You have the compilation error. The compilation error happens during compile time. So during compile time, you issue the command javac. So whenever you compile your Java source code and something like this happens, you're encountering a compilation error. Now, what do we do? What we need to do is to look at the error, analyze the error, and then fix the error. And then after fixing the error, you need to save your work and then try to recompile. After recompilation and you get a clean compile, then you're going to the next step. The next step, you need to run your code. In running your code, you need to issue the command Java. Okay, not javac, because javac is for compilation, Java is for the runtime. Now, after trying your code to run and you happen to see another error again, you need to read the error. In this example, what we're seeing right now is main method is not static in class hello world. Please define the main method as public static void main string args. Okay, why are we getting this error? Okay, another rule. All Java desktop apps, including this one, this is just a command line application, must always have a public static void main string args in it. For brevity, all throughout this course, we will call this PSVM. So when we say PSVM, what I'm referring to is the main method, which is spelled out as public static void main string args. Now, the PSVM method is needed in order for us to run our Java application. Without the PSVM method, we cannot run our application. Even if you have a missing part of the PSVM method, like we've removed the word static earlier, that will cause a runtime error. Now, let's try to dissect. Public means global access. We'll talk about public in the next section. Static means it is a class method. The name of the method is main, and the return type is void. Now, inside the main method, there's an argument that accepts an array of string. This is also required. So the main method should be public, should be static, the return type should be void, and it should be given a main name. If you do not follow these four words, you will get a runtime error. Now, also inside the argument, the pair of parentheses, you should have an array of string right here. So that's what PSVM is for. Next, we have system.out.println. Now, this method right here, system.out.println, will help us display an output. Whatever's inside the pair of double quotes will be printed as is. Now, Java is quite easy to understand. It's basically a set of rules. Like, if you have two begin curly braces, you should also have two end curly braces. Same thing is true with the tokens that we use for strings. We have a begin double quote. You should always have an ending double quote. So everything inside the pair of double quotes will be printed as is. Now, for brevity, let's try to call this as SOP. Okay, so the SOP statement will help us display the output. And lastly, the SOP statement should always end with a semicolon, because without the semicolon, you will also get an error. So let's try to save this and run this again. Compile it and then run. There you go. But if we try to remove a semicolon, and then when we compile this, notice that we will have a compilation error. It says here that the error came from hello world.java in line 5. So this is line 5. And the error is semicolon expected. And there's your current caret symbol pointing right here. Hey, I need to see a semicolon right here. All right? Okay, so these are your two types of errors. You have your compilation and you also have your runtime errors. So the basic rule here is every time we encounter an error, we need to debug the error first. But sometimes we get to be overwhelmed. Like, what if we encounter multiple errors? So far, what we're seeing are single errors, right? You see here, one error. But what if, let's say, let me remove the ln right here, or the L. Let me just save this again. And then when we compile, okay, you see that there's a cannot find symbol. Now, the cannot find symbol is a type of error that says that one of your method or variable is misspelled, or the Java compiler cannot understand this method. In this particular example, the println is not there. Instead, it is misspelled, or it's called as println. One of the common mistakes is by typing print 1n, because the number 1 looks like small letter L. So if most of my students in the university, sometimes when they compile this, they will also get the same type of error, cannot find symbol. Okay, now let's go back to an error that will produce multiple types of compilation error. So let's try to save this one. Okay, now let's compile this again, and there you go. In our compilation, we see that there are 3 errors right here. Now, in an event that you see multiple errors, don't get overwhelmed. It's all right to have errors, and errors are basically a part of the life of a programmer. I've been using Java for almost 20 years now, and until now, I still get these type of errors. Okay, so what do we do when we encounter errors? First, don't panic, relax, and you need to think about the type of errors that is showing up on your screen. You need to look at the first error. Concentrate on the first error. Try to analyze what the error is all about. Because chances are, the second error onwards, if you have 5 errors, that's error number 2 onwards, are basically called echo errors. All right? They are just in support with the first error. So what you need to do if you encounter multiple errors is to look at the first one. Oops, sorry about that. So let's try to compile that again. Here we go. Look at the first error right here. So it says here that hello world.java in line 5, we have an error right here, a closing parenthesis. Okay, so you'll see that there is our string. What Java does is once it encounters a double quote, it will look for the closing double quote. So what really happened here is there's a missing double quote in our system.out.println method. So what we need to do is to close that one. So since we have 3 errors during our compile time, let me just save that there. And then if you compile this again, you'll see that the first error went away together with the rest. So if you encounter multiple errors, always debug the first error, save, and then recompile. Chances are error number 2 and the rest will probably go away because the second error onwards are basically echo errors. Okay, so that's it for our second video for this module. Oh, let's try to take a look at another error. Incorrect location of your file or of your present working directory. This one is interesting too. So if you have encountered this type of error, you need to check the location where you saved your file. So let's try to create another version of a Hello World program. Let's say class, say greeting. Then let me create a method, public void say hi. And then let me put the SOP right here. Hi from LWP, learning while practicing. And then let me create our class, public class test greeting. And then let's create our PSVM method, public static void main string args. And then let me instantiate an object, greeting hi is equals to new greeting. And then let me just say hi dot say hi. All right, now, like what we've talked about in the previous video, after coding, you may want to save your work. Okay, let's give it a name. But before we give it a name, let's recall the other rule that whatever's the name of your public class, it should have the same name as your file name. So in this example, we see we have two classes. One public class, test greeting, and the other one is class greeting. Now, when we save this, can you guess what should be the file name? If you say test greeting, you're correct. So we should give it a file name called testgreeting.java. Now, let's save that now. Save testgreeting.java. Now, if by an accident you saved it in a different location, let's say I'm going to save it in my home folder right here. Okay, you see that in my Finder window, we don't see it under Java codes. We see it outside Java codes folder. And then when you type the command javac testgreeting.java, you will also encounter this type of error. See, javac file not found, meaning the file testgreeting.java is not around. You cannot see it because it is not found. Okay? Not found where? Since we're inside this folder Java codes, and when you type ls, testgreeting.java is not around, therefore we got this compilation error. Now, how do we resolve this issue? First, you need to recall where did you save your file. Okay, chances are if you're using a text editor, in the title bar, you will see the location as well as the name of the file. So in helloworld.java, let me just zoom this one. In our previous code, you'll see that the file helloworld.java right here is saved under Java codes. But testgreeting.java is saved in the home folder. If you're a Unix user, you'll notice that the tilde symbol represents the home folder. And it is named as testgreeting.java. Okay, so we should go to the home folder, cd, enter, and then pwd to check where the current location is. So we're under users Lawrence, and then if I type ls, okay, there you go. There's our testgreeting.java. We can now move this one to our Java codes folder, or we could compile it right here. As long as the present working directory can now see the location of your Java source code, you are now free to compile that one. So how to compile? We type javac and then the file name, enter. All right, and then if you type ls, you should see that a class file has been created together with your Java source code. Now, let me just check out the name of the classes that was created. So we were able to create two class files. These two class files corresponded to the classes that we have in our Java source code. Inside our Java source code, we have a class greeting and we have a public class test greeting. That's why when we compile this, after a successful compilation, we were able to generate two class files. The next question is, which one should we run? Can we run greetings? So when we type Java greeting, enter, you see that we're encountering a runtime error. Why? Because inside your class greeting, you don't have a PSVM method. Like what I've said, the PSVM or the public static void main method is the entry point of all Java source codes. Therefore, to run this application, we need to run the class that contains the PSVM inside. So we type Java test greeting, again without the dot, and there you go. All right. So I hope you're having fun coding and learning. And we encourage you that if in case you miss out any part of the lesson, feel free to roll back the video and play it again. I'll see you in the next video. Happy coding! Hello everyone. My name is Lawrence De Camora of Learning While Practicing. In this video, we will discuss the different parts of a Java program, the class, the main method, the contents, the plus operator, and the \n and the \t characters. If you can recall in our previous video, this is what we did, our first Hello World program. So let me just go through the rules again. Whenever you want to write a Java code, you always end it with a Java source, Java extension. And then once you've compiled it and it went through a valid compilation, it should produce a .dot class. Now, inside your Java source code, you must have the public static void main method, or also known as the PSVM. In all Java SE program, the PSVM is the entry point of all Java SE programs. Now, if we want to display something to the screen, to the output screen, we use the method system.out.println, or we could also use the system.out.print. What's the difference? If we use system.out.print, it will simply print the text inside the print method without the next line character. But if you end it with println, with an ln suffix, it will print the value followed by a next line character. This is essentially the same as putting a \n at the end. So if I save this and then we compile this and then run, we should get the same output. We're using print and then a \n at the end. Now, we also have another operator that I would like to show you today. It's called the plus operator. Now, the plus operator is used to do two things. It's an overloaded operator. It can be used to add values, or it can also be used to concatenate values. So when we say, let's say, a value 100 plus 200, notice I have not enclosed them inside a pair of double quotes, which means I'm not printing a string value. I have a numeric value on the left-hand side of the plus operator and another numeric value on the right-hand side of the plus operator. This should give me a value of 300. Let's try to save that, compile, and run. So there's your 300 right there. But if I put everything inside a pair of double quotes, let me just do a quick copy, paste. Let's say I'll put 100 and then plus and then 200, but these values surrounding the plus operator, the 100 and 200, are both enclosed inside a pair of double quotes, meaning they are not they are not numeric values. These are string values. So the plus operator here will function as a concatenation symbol. So we will get 100 and then plus 200 as a concatenation operation. We will get 100, 200. So let's try to save that, compile, and run. There's your output right there. So the plus is an overloaded operator. Now, what if I try to, let's say, print another output, let's say X. Okay. Now, in this example, we will get what we call an error, no? A cannot find symbol error. So save, let's say compile, Take a look at the error. Specifically, it will give line 8 as a error. So there you go. In line 8, you have cannot find symbol. And then you have X right there. Now, why do you think we have this type of error? All right. It's because X is not yet defined. So Java doesn't know what X is. But if we try to enclose X inside a pair of double quotes, and then we save this, then we will have a good compilation. And then there you go. It will simply print the value X. Okay? Now, let's go back to the same problem. In order for us not to get this error right here, we need to declare the variable X. So we can say int X and then probably say 50. Okay? So if we print this, if we compile this, what we're doing is we're printing the value of X, which is 50. All right? So far, so good. Okay, what if I wanted to get an output that will display X equals 50? So this is what I would like to get. X equals, and then its value. In this example, 50. So I will put a system.out.println, and then we will try to write the string value first, which is X equals. So double quotes, X equals, or space, and then followed by equals, followed by a double quote, and then we will now add a plus operator that will concatenate the value of X, followed by X, which is the variable. We should get X equals 50. Save it, compile, and then run. So there you go. We got X equals 50. Now, the last part, we will discuss the \n and the \t operator. So if we have, let's say, hello, and then you wanted a big chunk of space, not just a single space. Let's say we have \t. So if we do not put \t and then we have hello world all in one line, we're going to have this output right here, hello world, without any space. But if I try to insert \t right here, you save it, we compile it, take a look at the output. You see we have a few amount of spaces in between the world, the hello word, the hello, and the word world. Now, you can simply slub in or insert these value. Or we can use concatenation as well. We can say hello, and then plus, and then plus, and then we can insert the \t in the middle. So essentially, this should give us, this two lines should give us the same output. Oops, I have an error. Oh, I forgot to include a double quote right here. So like what we've discussed in the previous video, any amount of begin double quote should always be ended with a closing double quote. So let's try to recompile it again. Oh, I haven't saved it. All right. Save, compile, and there we go. Run. We have the same output in the last two SOP statements. So that's for \t. Now, we can also do the same thing for \n. Let me just do a quick copy and paste. If I do \n right here, this one will simply cut to the next line. So it will print hello and then a next line and the word world. Now this one will also do the same thing. So you can see that we can just put in \n or \t inside a text inside a string, or we can just concatenate them as well. So they work the same. And here's your output. So you have hello world for this one, and you also have hello world for this one. All right. So I hope you can now, by now, you can now write your own Java program. Start by writing or displaying simple text, and be sure that when you encounter errors, try to resolve them one by one. You start with the first error and then save, recompile until all errors are gone. So this has been Lawrence of Learning While Practicing. Happy coding.